Hello everyone. The book I'm going to talk about today is the best folk horror book of the year. Now that's saying a lot because there are a lot of books in that genre, and of course I have not read every single one, but out of the ones I have read, as good as they were, I think this one is the best one of the year, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Today is July 30th. That means it's my birthday. I am 60 years old. But before you get too excited, I don't ask much of you. Check out the books you see on your screen. Go over there, click on one or two and buy it. That's all I ask. Buy a book because you can't send beer over the internet. I am easy like that. All right, let's get started. So the book I want to talk about today is called The Woodcutter by Stephanie Ellis. The reason this is one of my favorite folk horror books of the year, in fact it is my very favorite of all of them I've read so far, is simply because this book does two things extremely well. It combines fantastic psychological mindfuckery, as I like to call it, along with the terrifying folk horror. And separately, those two things are great. But when they come together, like peanut butter and jelly, as in with this book, it is something else. It just expands both of those things to a whole nother level. This is about a man, and when he was a boy, his mother left this town, took him with her, and they moved from place to place, and now he's an adult and she has already passed away, but until then they just kept moving from place to place. She instilled in him a sense of paranoia, isolation, kind of being a lone wolf, because according to her, his father, who he barely remembers, was an evil man. That town is evil, stay away from it, and they will be coming looking for you for whatever reason. So he grew up with that kind of mindset. Something extremely frightening is going to happen right in the first chapter of the book, that's going to force him kind of to go back to this town, and he's going to meet his father for the first time since he was a child, and he's going to find out he also has some half brothers in the mix, and we're going to find out about all that as the book goes along, of course. But let's talk about the town first. This town is called Little Hatchet, and it is surrounded by a forest known as God Be Gone Wood. One word, God Be Gone. So if you name your, if you're writing a story and the town's name is Little Hatchet, surrounded by God Be Gone Wood, you know some evil, creepy stuff is going to happen. and it certainly does here. The local legend in this area is of a hulking, giant, evil creature with an axe called the Woodcutter, and his constant companion, known only as Grandma. And they supposedly live in this really creepy cabin out in the middle of the woods where people in the town do not cross. Anybody who crosses a certain part of that wood, they're never seen again. And this is where these creatures supposedly live. But the thing is, throughout this book, we are going to learn about the legend of the Woodcutter and Grandma. And basically that legend is like an adult, twisted fairy tale. It's a retelling almost of Little Red Riding Hood, except the big bad wolf in that story is nothing but a cuddly little puppy in comparison to these creatures that supposedly inhabit God Be Gone Wood. And throughout, we're not actually really sure if this legend is nothing but a story or if it's actually real. We will find out eventually. But throughout the book, you are always wondering. You are always trying to guess, because certain people believe in it fully, certain people do not, and each gives their reasons why they either believe in it or why they don't. And either side could be believed at any point during this story. But the town still continues to perform some rituals based around this lore, like the local preacher has to perform a ritual around the edge of the wood. Otherwise, the barrier holding the woodcutter and grandma from coming into town and slaughtering everybody will be broke open. So these rituals are supposed to keep them behind this veil, behind this protective curtain. But the veil is weakening because the local preacher, who's the last of his line to preach in that church since the town was created, he has had it up to here with these legends. He's a man who has lost his faith due to certain relationships with some other people in town. Some things have happened that have re-excited this story about the woodcutter. And so this veil is supposed to be weakening, which means at any time the streets could run red with the blood of its citizens. But we'll never know until the end. However, once things start happening, and once certain events start to unfurl themselves, it becomes even more terrifying than what it was at the beginning. I don't want to say too much, but I will say this. In the last, I don't know, quarter or third of the book, somewhere in there, just when you think this book is going to come to a certain conclusion based on what you've read so far, Stephanie Ellis is not done with us yet. She is not done messing with our emotions. Because there are some twists coming that are completely unseen, completely, at least for me, I didn't even have a hint or a clue that these things were going to happen. And these things they will change the narrative of what you think you've just read up to that point in this book. It will. Because where you think this book is going and what you think that ending is going to be is now all a question mark. Because there's no way it can be the same after these things are revealed. And your feelings about certain characters are going to shift when these things happen. It is a twist that is so jarring in the best way that it makes you rethink everything you've just read so far, and whether you've believed in this legend or not is going to make you change your mind one way or the other when they happen. And it is just so good and so out of nowhere that it sent goosebumps up and down my arms, because I was thinking, oh no, now we're ready to get into that full throttle, full speed ahead ending, and does not disappoint there either, let me tell you that. Yeah, this is my favorite folk horror book of the year. It is so full of twists and turns, and is it real? Is it not real? And it is bloody and brutal at places. You are going to see things in here that are going to give you a case of the creeps and have you locking your doors at night after you're reading it, trust me on that. And it's really not going to do anything for the camping industry. You're going to read this and probably never want to go into a wood again, and I don't blame you. I'm right there with you, because that's how effectively creepy it is. And this book is just so fully engaging, and it's one of those unput-downable reads that once you start, you just have to keep digging to get the secrets, and you're not going to be satisfied until you do. But I do want to say about the woodcutter and grandma that Stephanie Ellis, in all of her books, writes characters with such a fine touch. Even the villainous characters, she gives them a sense almost of humanity, to the point where you might even feel a little compassion for them, even though they have done all these horrendous things, committed these atrocities upon many, many people. And that's very unique, because these are not characters just for the scares. They are as vital, whether they're just legend or not, they are as vital to the story as characters as any of the human characters. And that is a great thing in any horror book, I think. And she does it. She did it in 5 Turns of the Wheel. She did it in Reborn. And she does it again right here. So yeah, this book is coming out on August 1st, just 2 days away, and there is a link down below where you can order your copy, and I cannot recommend it enough. And give yourself an entire day or two to read it, because you are going to want to. Once you, like potato chips, once you start eating one, you can't just stop. You're going to want to keep reading chapter after chapter. I guarantee you, it's just that good. Pick up your copy. Don't hesitate, and don't pass on this one. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. I really appreciate you guys watching. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.